Alright, here we are back in Project Zomboid for our third episode here. Before we get started, I'd like to say I very much so appreciate the positive reception that this has gotten so far. I mean, in general, I'm still shocked that people would want to watch me play these niche games anyway, and just dryly comment over them. But the positive reception has been quite shocking, so I'm very grateful. But with that out of the way, let's get back to where we were with our survivor, Selina LaRoche here, waking up on, what is this, day like 4 or something like that? Either way, it's a very foggy day outside. We can see that already out the window, so we won't be getting much done right off the bat. She's a bit hungry, so we'll deal with that issue off the bat. And maybe we'll do a little bit of sorting while we wait for the fog to clear. I'm not big on braving the elements in this game when it comes to like fog and big storms and stuff like that. I mean, the game dealing with issues outside can be a little rough in the best of conditions, so I don't really fancy you know, going out when I can barely see in front of my face. Especially because the zombies don't mind it all that much, and I don't want to... I mean, they're affected by it somewhat, I think, but not to the same extent that I am. So, while we wait for this to clear up, I'm going to start sorting through all of this trash. As to whether or not I'm going to leave this in is debatable. I might not. Guess depends on if anything actually happens. Still a bit hungry, but I can deal with that later if the weather clears. Trying to get stuff sorted a little. Because again, I'm not certain that I'm actually going to stay here all that long. I might not. I'm not really sure yet. It's like I mentioned before, the goals for this series are a little bit nebulous, but I'm kind of okay with that. It's kind of an open form kind of game anyway. But it does behoove me to try to remember the layout of this house. Where's the bathroom? There we go. It does behoove me to do sorting ahead of time. That way I don't have to, you know, deal with it when it becomes like a real issue later, when like there's tons of stuff piled up. Closed. Yeah, yeah, it's a pretty rough day for this early on, especially because like there's things that we need, especially the like the whole generator magazine. I know I keep banging on about that, but it's such an important thing to get early before the power goes out. And I'm running on mostly default settings here, at the very least when it comes to the power and water. So they could go out at any time. It's anywhere, the default, if I remember correctly, is anywhere between 0 and 30 days from the start of the game, I think. So, any moment, the power and the water could just go out. And then that's, you know, that's that. And then things start going bad. I mean, the water wouldn't be that big of a deal. I can cope. Like, water is pretty easy to cope with for a while. Like, obviously, eventually you need to get, you know, rain collectors set up. But the like things like the sinks and toilets and bathtubs and stuff will have water in the pipes for, you know, like a decent amount even after the water goes out for, you know, for a bit. Like, you're covered for a little while. The power is the bigger issue because it's just like once that's gone, you know, you don't have much of a safety net there. You're just sort of, okay, well, now I have to, you know, either I gotta find a generator and get that set up quickly, or everything in the fridges is gonna go bad. Which, you know, again, not the worst because you can grow your own, like, food eventually. And there's a lot of, like, non-perishable stuff, like canned food and stuff like that, that won't go bad anytime soon. Like, it takes quite a while, but... Or, well, what am I talking about? The non-perishable stuff doesn't go bad, right? So you know, you can slowly go through that stuff, and it'll last you a long while, but the issue is just, like, for cooking. And I do like cooking in this game. It's a lot of fun, just, like, cooking up different foods and stuff like that. And it becomes a lot harder to do things like that once the power is gone. You lose, like, the meats and the meats and, like, breads and stuff like that. Once you lose all that stuff, it's a little bit harder to find, like, enough things to do good cooking with. Although there are some, like, exceptions to that. I mean, like, there's dried meats that you can use. I don't know if you can, like, use jerky as, like, a replacement for meat and stuff. Maybe. I know that you can use canned bread as bread in recipes, which is nice. But there's only so much of that you end up finding, so... I do also have a bit of a way around that issue as well when it comes to, like, meat, and that I have the, I believe the mod is called Immersive Hunting. Basically, as long as you have a gun, you can, like, go off into the woods and activate, like, a hunting check thing to see if you can find and shoot something. It's not like super in-depth. It's not like there's, like, deer or, like, rabbit or whatever models or anything like that, like, going around. It's just, like, you sort of go and then you do a weight, like, you know, like a progress bar sort of thing. But it's, you know, it's an option, and of course it has costs, so it's, like, relatively balanced. It's not bad, and it solves that problem. And eventually that problem's gonna get solved in the next build, actually, because there's going to be animals in the game, finally. So, like, you know, it's kind of just like a little stopgap kind of mod until the new build comes out, and then it's problem solved for the most part. Oh, where do I want to put this stuff? This is gonna have to go, like, on a roof or something, so just, like, dump it in here for now. And I haven't had the music on in this game in a long time. I usually play, like, either silently with, like, watching, like, a video or something, or listening to a podcast or my own music. It's that song right there keeps creeping me out a little bit. The undertones of it kind of sound like zombie greebly noises, which is, like, kind of freaking me out a little. Tools I think I'm just gonna leave on the ground for right now, which actually means I should leave these nails on the ground too. And this is just one of these 2 tin cans right here, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Okay, so I think that's pretty good for sorting. I could sort the tools into this, which I guess I'll do, because again, it's still super foggy out. I'm really probably not going to get anything done today, which means I'm definitely not cutting this out, because otherwise there's not going to be literally any content from this day at all. So I apologize if you find sorting equipment as fun as watching paint dry, but the Zomboid gods have decided that I don't get to do anything today. That's fine, we can get some reading done. Because I do need to get that reading done. Because even if I don't manage to find the generator and stuff like that, I still have to get working on that wall eventually. I'm not gonna start working on it until either I find a generator magazine and a generator, or I run out of time. So, you know, it's not gonna happen yet, but it doesn't really have to happen yet, honestly. This can opener kind of has to stay on me. It doesn't really have to happen yet. Like, it's not, we're not in that big of danger of zombies, like, doing something right now. Like, showing up in large numbers. There are meta events in the game, which I believe I touched on them before. So stuff where, like, you know, oh, a helicopter flies over, or, you know, there's a gunshot or something like that, and then I'll draw zombies in a direction, and we could end up in, like, kind of a weird situation, or, like, an unfortunate kind of situation. If that happens. But I'm not really too worried about it. We're not likely to get any events that are really going to be considerably bad for us anytime soon, so... I'm just chilling. In general, I try not to worry about things too much when it comes to games like this. I mean, like, you know, planning for future, like, potential events and misfortunes is appropriate, but I'm not gonna, you know, stand around and be terrified of every little thing that could potentially happen. You know, I just sort of try to react to things as they come a lot of the time. Oh, this, I can't sit in this because it is not against the correct wall. So the whole sitting and laying thing is part of a mod, and no, I need to place, and then... So it's part of a mod, and one of the caveats with that mod, and has to do with Zomboid as like a game and its like engine, is that you can only sit and lay on stuff that's on like this, like facing this direction or facing south, like so south and east, I guess. It's technically not. I think like north is technically like that, but it has to either be facing this direction or facing this direction. Otherwise, you can't sit or lay in it, and that's just how the game renders things. So, anyway, this section's probably going to be cut. I'm just going to be reading the Carpentry 1 book. If something happens, then I'll, you know. But I'm just going to be fast-forwarding through this, so. See you on the other side. Okay, well, we're back. It actually wasn't that much of a reading session because the fog finally rolled out. It is 1:30 p.m., so only about like an hour or two of reading there. Probably a bit over an hour. But we're going to try and get something done here now that we can finally go outside. So the neighborhood's still looking pretty clear. Of course, there's that car back there that we want to go get eventually. I was thinking about going and breaking into that shed over there, or starting to break into these sheds, because sheds are some of the best places to look for generators. Like, we're honestly pretty likely to find one if I start breaking into sheds all over the place. However, since that is the case, and of course I know that, there's no real reason for me to. The generator isn't the big concern here. The generator magazine is the big concern. Which, my options for finding are kind of limited. So the best way to find it is to just go to bookstores, or any place with like a lot of bookshelves. So like schools, bookstores, stuff like that. I could take the car and go to a bookstore, but it's kind of dangerous. I mean, I guess I should be doing it anyway, because I'm decently... Oh, boy. If that's the extent of the horde, I could probably clear it. I'm decently set up now that I have a crowbar, so honestly, I should probably go and do... Oh, boy. Now, let's try and slow pull these. I should probably go and try and do that. At the very least, there is a bookstore in Muldraw up the road there, I think. I'm trying to think about where I am right now. Oh, I'm thinking of a different city when I'm thinking of that bookstore. Well, anyway, there's options around. There is a school, I know that, and that has a bunch of bookshelves, although it's also usually crawling with fucking zombies. Oh, just slowly chip away. Ugh. Love you, crowbar. So the reason I'm taking these digital watches, even though I already have a watch, is because it's pretty much one of the only ways to get your electronic skill up early, and I will need to get my electronic skill up, unfortunately. The electronic skill is probably the most neglected skill in Zomboid. There's not a whole lot that you can do with it. but you need a couple levels in it just so that you can, like, hotwire cars. So, also, well, I mean, what I should say is the skill's very neglected in base game Zomboid, if I didn't say that in the first place. Because there are mods that let you do other things with it. Like, I know I need electronic skill with one of the mods I have, which is the solar power mod, to set up solar arrays so that I can use solar power. That's another mod that I've been running for years, and I've still never really done it. I've not set up a solar array. Which is actually an option, too, if I were to, like, really try for it. I could maybe get a solar array set up to power like one refrigerator before the power goes out, but that would require me like really focusing on it, because you need a lot of stuff, and it's a lot of heavy stuff as well. So I need to take the car. I need to go to the storage warehouse in Muldraw, which is like up the road that way. And I would need to, like, get a lot of stuff from there and haul it back. And then I'd have to, well, I'd have to have the electronic skill, which this character doesn't have, because she doesn't have very many good skills at all, really. Oh, hello, you're closer than I thought. So that's not really an option, because I just don't have the electronic skill to get it done. But it is an interesting idea. If anything, it kind of makes me interested in, like, a future run, starting as, like, an electrician, and then having like an early game goal to be, you know, setting up a solar array to power a base. You know, make my character an environmentalist, I guess. You know, I hate generators; they're awful for the environment. Let me set up a solar array instead. Pissed. Hey. Dickheads, come on. Somebody notice me. Notice me! Alright, fine. Hey! Alright. I wanted to try and pull a couple of them over, but they really weren't noticing me, so instead... Wait. Instead, we're going to do it the fun way, aka fight this whole fucking group at the same time. Oh ho! Where did you come from, my friend? Actually, though, where the hell did you come from? Oh, there's some coming from over there, too. Ugh. Hold on, this angle's bad. Here we go, this is a better one. Man, all I have to say when in situations like this is, like... Thank you, devs, for allowing multi-hit to be a thing. I know it's not enabled by default, which might, you know, be like, oh, well, that's not the way the game's intended to be played, or whatever, but I don't care. Because, playing without multi-hit is awful. Even small hordes like this, for me anyway, without multi-hit, are really difficult to deal with. Doing a quick little sweep, making sure nothing's behind me. Whew, because, like I mentioned before, I'm not good at combat in this game. The amount of times, like, especially when I'm playing with people in, like, multiplayer, the amount of times that I'll die on a server is, like, frankly absurd. Because I just get into situations that aren't very good, and even though I know I'm bad at combat, I will frequently, like, just end up in bad ways and, like, end up fighting in combats that I really shouldn't. Just, like, way too much combat. And partially, it's, like, out of a desire to get better at it. Because I do like this game a lot and I play it a good bit, but, like, it doesn't change the fact that I'm just awful at combat. It's probably just because I'm kind of impatient. I can do patience in a lot of games, but when it comes to combat and Zomboid, like, the longer it goes on for, the more nervous I start to get. My anxiety gets up, and then it's like, because I'm worried about, like, backing into zombies and stuff like that. And that worry usually ends up getting me killed, which is kind of counterintuitive, considering that I'm worried about getting killed, and that's what ends up ruining me, but, you know. No one ever said panic is a particularly rational emotion. So, if I can remember my keybinds, I'm playing a lot of different games right now, so it's kind of hard to remember everything that's going on. The old F and E interact switch is something that gets me a lot. That's what got me right there for a second. Because I play like Tarkov and stuff, and interact is F in that, and it's a F in a couple of other games too, not just Tarkov. But it always does get me when I go back and forth between games like that, and then it's just like, oh yeah, it's the opposite in this game. Oops, not a big deal. But, oh yes, some zucchini, some corn. Anyway, yeah, not the biggest corn fan, but zucchini's pretty great. Wait, can of oats, that's pretty good. Some of this other stuff is pretty useful too, for like baking and stuff like that, but I'm not really that worried about that in the short term. Same with sauces and stuff, not really. The chocolate is worth taking though, in case I need to bulk. Marinara is good if I get some pasta, but I haven't seen any yet. Peanut butter is always good. Great source of protein. Lentils are dried, so they're good. TV dinners are like kind of... I think TV dinners are just bad in general. Like, even if you cook them, they're kind of like bad for happiness. But, I mean, if I'm in that situation, I don't really want to not have it, I guess. I shouldn't be spending so much time here with the whole food thing, considering that I'm in, like, kind of a hurry. But, you know. This tends to be a typical place that I loot very quickly if I'm in Muldraw, so I kind of... Ooh, burrito. Yummy. I'm hungry anyway. Okay, I've ever seen onigiri in Zomboid before. Why would there be... Why would there be fresh onigiri in like a... in like a little corner store like this? It's nonsense. You can't find that stuff. You can't find those made anywhere outside of Asian markets in the US. What the hell? At least not on the East Coast. But of course, this game takes place in Kentucky. So I mean, also that is a lot of ice cream. I'm gonna leave that there for now. I will come back for that later if I can. Oh, hello. Hi. Time to die. Again. I delayed the hit there to let him get in range so that he didn't slip past it. That's something that I try to do, but I don't always succeed. Generally because, like, if you strike right before a zombie gets into the appropriate range to get multi-hit, then they can sort of slip past your attack, and while that usually isn't that big of a deal because you could usually push quite quickly afterwards, as long as you aren't stuck with, like, reduced attack speed from, like, a arm injury or whatever, it can still end badly and get you bit, so, you know, try to avoid. Okay, so we got a couple zombies here. So one thing I noticed, while I was in that place over there, oh boy, missed that. Oh boy, a lot of guys in there. Is that it's a good thing I actually stayed inside during the fog earlier, and I didn't realize that this character. Well, I think I probably did earlier, but you know, this is just me forgetting things, I guess. This character is especially afraid of fog. I'll mouse over the thing for it in a moment. I'm just loot this. So yeah, I have this homochlorophobiia. You hate the fog. Something about it makes you feel alarmed and stressed. You get uneasy when outside in foggy weather. So yeah, and I think I'm also like aren't I also a coward? Yeah, so like even more panic and stuff. Oh, hello. So yeah, this character is very bad at dealing with scary things, especially scary things in the fog. So, not a great idea to be out in leather gloves. Yes. Hello. So not a good idea to be out in foggy weather with this character, which is good because me, the real life person playing the game behind the screen here, also doesn't like being out in fog, so. A-okay by me with that one. I don't know how close you have to get before zombies will actually, like, hear you whisper. Okay, there we go. Those guys heard me. This guy saw me over here, so. In reality, I pulled the entire group except for one dude. Because of timing. Okay. Just hoping you'd fall down there so I could get a nice 3 hit on the ground. This is another one of those bad angles that I talked about. And I don't think this is necessarily like a direct correlation to gameplay, but for me, this is just a bad angle. I don't like attacking on this kind of angle. It's concerning. It's hard to see. Oh. So that house, oh boy. Ignoring all the zombies, that house over there is burned down. That's another random state that buildings can spawn in. There is, of course, dynamic fire in this game. So if you're not careful, you can accidentally, like, you know, accidentally or purposefully burn down, like, entire neighborhoods. But, that's not the case with that. That's just that building, when it spawned, it was, like, randomly decided to be a burned down building. Oh, fix a flat is nice. So, yeah. Alright, my character is very tired. Well, drowsy, at least, which is bad, and exerted. So we're just gonna check this place out, and then we're gonna head out back to the house. Just a bottle of wine in the middle of the floor. Yeah, nothing I really want out of here. God, the music is so pointlessly ominous. Calm down. So we didn't get too much done today, partially because of the fog, partially because I'm already, like, you know, tired. Oh, baseball bat, yeah, baby. I don't like the baseball bats as much as I like crowbars, but, you know, I can't complain. I'm just gonna eat this. Oh, I didn't want to eat a quarter. Well, that'd be my inventory. I'm just gonna keep eating stuff when I can here because my character's losing weight and I don't want her to. I don't really have the inventory for all that stuff. I'll come back for it later. Ice cream. Yeah. Have that. Then we're gonna head back. Oh, we're still potentially losing a little bit of weight, so I might have to do something about that, but as long as I can slow it down, it's not that big of a deal. I was gonna go down this way because I could get back home that way, but I don't actually know if that path is clear. And while I could jump over the fence, I could, since I'm tired, I believe at Drowsy already, you could, like, you can fail climbing over fences. That might be something that's only affected by exertion. I'm not sure about that, but, you know, best take no chances. I don't want to, like, drop things or, you know, fail to climb over walls and get bit by accident, or climb over a wall right into a zombie and get bit. All of these things have happened to me in the game before. I have first-hand experience with these unfortunate events, so I'd rather not repeat them if I can. The reason the weight technically went up there is, well, the weight didn't go up. My total carry capacity went back up because I'm not sated anymore, food-wise, which is fine. I can just eat the rest of this ice cream. Your carry weight, your, like, overall carry weight capacity is based off of, well, a lot of different calculations, like how tired you are, how exerted you are, you know, how full you are, stuff like that. It's all kinds of different stuff goes into it, but it'll fluctuate over time. And currently, at exertions or like carry weights around 1 and 2, it's fine. It's acceptable. I mean, I think that there's probably some penalties for like maybe combat and movement, but it's not that big of a deal. Once you get above like 3, like 3 to 4, I think it might only be at 4, but you start taking damage from like how much shit you're carrying. It's just too heavy for your back, and that can be bad if you're just carrying around stuff normally and like trying to do stuff, but you tend to have to do that a lot when you're like moving wood planks and wood logs and stuff around. It just sort of is the way of things. So you end up taking damage. All right, so let's get some stuff sorted away now that we're back home, and then we'll get probably by that time to bed. So I'll just put all this stuff in here. Muffin. Good old muffin. Is there any other fresh foods? Yeah, we got some corn. We got a corn dog, a leek, onion, ongiri, onion. This TV dinner, I think, actually doesn't matter. I could just leave it out, I think, but I'll put it in the freezer because that's what I would do in real life. Though, admittedly, I don't eat very many TV dinners these days. And do they even really, like, have prepackaged meals that are called TV dinners anymore? I think these days it would just be, like a prepackaged meal or, like, all-in-one meal or something like that. So getting this pasta is pretty nice, because, like, even though it's just one unit here where it's just, like, pasta, this is actually, like, a ton of pasta right here. I can make a lot of, like, different pasta dishes out of that one thing of pasta. So any of those are, like, big to get. That's why their encumbrance is pretty high, too. It's actually pretty high for, like, what you're, like, it's, you know, it's just pasta, but it's, like, it's quite a bit of pasta. Oh, juice box. Okay. So, how's the crowbar doing? Oh, yeah, she's good. I was considering keeping another weapon on me, like the bat, but the problem is, like, with the bat, it's a two-hander, so it would have to go on my back, which means I would have to either, like, be permanently carrying the crowbar with no option of putting it on my back, or just have it in my inventory, but it takes up too much encumbrance like that, so I'm just, you know, I don't need it right now. I've got the hammer as a good backup weapon. I don't mind the hammer. Decent. I'm not the biggest short blunt fan in this game. So meaning like one-handed short blunt weapons. They're all right. Just not the best. I much prefer long blunt or short blade and long blade. Short blade and long blade are really good, but of course, like I mentioned in a previous episode, if I remember correctly, the bladed weapons damage the equipment that zombies are wearing, which can sometimes be a bit annoying. Like if there's something that you want, and then it's just like, oh well, I accidentally screwed up and like cut it open, then you have to like fix it, and I usually don't survive long enough for tailoring to become like a really important thing for me. Sometimes I do, but, you know, most of the time not. All right, so it is currently 10 p.m., right? 2200. Quite tired. I was considering reading a little bit, but I think I'm just going to let my character, let old Selina here, whose name I will remember one of these days, get to sleep, and we'll continue on in the morning. Okay, and here we are. It is the next day, 5:20 in the morning. So yeah, unfortunately we woke up a little bit early. I'm gonna have to work on her sleep schedule a little bit. So by that I mean tomorrow I'm gonna, or well tonight I'm going to stay up reading a little bit past like probably midnight. Make sure she doesn't wake up this early, because 5 a.m. is a bit much. I mean in real life I don't wake up anywhere near this hour, on most days at least. And in Zomboid as well, it's not particularly useful unless you want to get stuff done early that's like not outside, just because, you know, it's still pretty dark out. So I don't really particularly want to go out there. So we'll work on some stuff here. So unfortunately we did lose a kilo. So even with chugging down, frankly, tons of ice cream there, a full bucket of ice cream, we're still losing weight, which is bad. We're using up too many calories and not consuming enough. So I'm going to start eating more. Basically, whenever I'm not at, you know, like, absolutely full, then whenever I'm not at full to bursting, I'm gonna be eating. Because I want to get these 2 kilos back. I want to get back up to 80. Being, like, slightly under 80 isn't that big of a deal. Like, there's no penalties to it or anything. However, once you get below 75, I think it is, or maybe it was 70, I'll end up being underweight, which is just bad. You really want to keep your weight balanced in Zomboid, because both underweight and overweight, and then the extremes, like very underweight and obese, are just very bad. Like, you really don't want to be stuck with those, unless you're taking them as, like, starting perks, being like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, fix this over time. Like, whenever I start a character that isn't random, I will take usually one of those two, either, like, underweight, very underweight, overweight, or obese. Because they're bad, but you can solve them, like, pretty quickly into a save, and it's not that big of a deal. Let's keep talking while I'm reading here. But I really don't want to get back to those. I'm also, as mentioned before, you know, in the beginning video, I'm running the dynamic traits mod. Sorry about bumping the mic. I'm running the dynamic traits mod, so I really want to get better, like, there's a lot of traits that you can earn just by doing stuff in game. One of those is, I don't remember what the trait is called itself, but it's like balanced weight or something like that. That's not actually the name of it, but basically, as long as you keep your weight at the, like, appropriate balance point, I think between 75 and 85 kilos, for long enough, you'll earn a trait that makes it so your weight is less likely to change when you're in the balanced weight range, which is very good, and, you know, it makes my life a little bit easier in the long run. So, obviously, I want to get that done if I can. You know, it might not matter. I might just get bit one of these outings, but I always want to play under the assumption that I'm going to survive in the long term. There's no reason not to, right? So, I like looking at the big picture, the long-term gameplay ideas, even if it's not necessarily going to come to pass. Okay. Kind of running out of, like, good to eat foods right now. Let's eat this pineapple. There we go. So, 7 a.m., I think we should get moving now. Yeah. I don't know why I'm crawling everywhere. Honestly, you don't really, like, when you're inside of, like, a building that you are pretty certain is secure, like this house, there's no real reason to, like, crouch all over the place, especially if the windows are all covered. I'm just, like, I've got old habits that are kind of hard to break. And one of them is that I like to crouch everywhere, even if it is a little, I don't know, I don't think that crouching, like, really does anything to your exertion or tiredness or anything like that, like, by itself, but I mean, it slows you down very slightly, I think. One nice thing, though, is that if you do crouch a lot, you know, crouch all over the place, then you get sneaking up, which is, you know, good. It's not one of the most, like, critical skills, honestly, but it's solid, it's alright. So yeah, our skills are definitely going to be one of the biggest challenges in this playthrough. You know, starting as Doctor is not great. In multiplayer, starting as a Doctor can be good, because you start off with a lot of first aid that you don't have to, like, do early grinding. Because, like, grinding first aid skill is kind of difficult. If you've got a lot of people you're playing with and they get injured a lot, then it's like, you know, it could be fine, but, You know, the only other way to, like, power level the doctor skill is kind of cheesy, where it's like you put broken glass on the ground and then you just, like, take your shoes off and run over it and then, like, you know, you bandage or, like, you know, use tweezers to pull out the broken glass and stuff like that. I'm not big on the cheesy leveling methods for what it's worth. I try not to do those too much. Because, I mean, this is kind of like, you know, like a role-playing kind of immersive sim kind of game, survival game. So I try to take them somewhat seriously, even if I'm not, like, you know, constantly in character or whatever. Oh yeah, here's the energy from the sun, the solar booklet. So yeah, I'm not gonna be doing that kind of thing. I mean, of course, I don't really necessarily need to, because, you know, I start with, like, decently high first aid skill anyway. But again, like I was, you know, getting around to saying before I interrupted myself, it's not that useful really in single player. Like, yeah, there's certain situations where I might get injured and I need to, like, heal myself up, and, you know, the higher first aid skill will help in those circumstances, but most of the time, of course, the you know, one of the types of injuries that I could get is just always going to be fatal unless I'm late game, which is bites. Because if I don't have access to vaccine stuff, then, you know, a bite is just death. So there's only so much use I can get out of that that skill, the first aid skill. Whereas, you know, I started with... There's a zombie here. Oh, never mind, they're right there. This bad angle, I can't see. What you got in your hand there? A piece of jerky? Nope, tainted meat chunk. Okay, then Authentic Z. Authentic Z is kind of like a meme kind of mod. It adds a lot of silly stuff to the game. What was I talking about before I got distracted by that zombie being there? I'm not sure. Oh yeah, I was just talking about skills. Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of other skills that would be a lot more useful to have, like, high up at the start. Typically, when I'm making my own character, like, custom and not random, I'll start with either fitness instructor, because fitness instructor starts with, well, it starts with high passives, fitness and strength, but also it starts with a very good skill, nutritionist, which, nutritionist lets you see the nutritional value of any food item when you mouse over it. And that's incredibly useful for balancing your character's nutrition. Without it, I mean, like, it's, you know, it's doable to maintain weight and, like, you know, balance stuff without it, but it's much easier if you don't have a lot of stuff memorized or want to look at, like, a wiki or just, like, guess, which usually is what I do, to just have nutritionist off the start. It's just really good. So yeah, I really like the fitness instructor start, or the other one I'll take a lot is mechanic, because it gets you those, of course, the mechanics skills, because I'm a car person in the game, which is kind of weird because I really don't care about cars at all in real life. But in Zomboid, it's a lot of fun to me to just, like, run around and, like, get new cars and tinker with them and take stuff apart and stuff like that. I really love doing that. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I'm not... Oh boy. There is quite a few over here, but I would like to... I'm not sure how much of that I'm going to be able to do in this playthrough. It depends on how long I survive, really, because I need to get, like, really set up before I can even think about, like, car editing. Which is kind of why I'm ignoring stuff like the jack and stuff that's over there. Eventually I'll care about that stuff, but right now I have no mechanics skill. And, you motherfucker. Oh, that's bad. I mean, that should be fine, though. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not too worried about the whole car thing as of yet. Yeah, so right there is, I probably have mentioned this before, but, you know, like, at one point or another in the game, zombies used to just, like, climb over fences and then just lay there for a second, like always, and you could just beat the shit out of them while they're on the ground. And then they changed it eventually so that zombies, when they go over fences, sometimes can just, like, lunge out at you on the ground and hit you. Usually it's not that big of a deal, they just sort of knock you back a little. Sometimes they can knock you on your ass, and that's really bad. So I tend not to actually do the fence strats anymore because they really, they can be really dangerous. That being said, the knocking you on your ass thing, in my experience, is super rare. So the fact that that happened to me already in this playthrough is just, you know, showing just how wonderful Selena's luck is here. And by luck, I mean lack thereof. Do a quick once over of these guys. See, okay, there's another bulletproof vest here, which I do want. And some 9mm. No gun, though. That's fine. As far as guns are concerned, I'm pretty much with the general I think this is the general consensus among Zomboid players, is that basically guns are worthless until you get a shotgun and a bunch of shells, and then you just use the shotgun for, you know, up until you... Just make sure that zombie wasn't already coming at me. You use the shotgun until you get your aiming skill up to... Oh man, there's a lot of boys in here. Boys and girls. I was hoping I could hit through that, but I can't. I just gotta wait. Oh, light-footed up. Basically, you want to get your aiming skill up to... What is it, like 3 or 4, I think? It's something like that. Oh, nice. Sneaking went up as well. And then once you do that, then you can start switching to semi-automatics and stuff like that, or, well, like, non-shotguns. But basically, it's just, like, until you get your skill up high enough, the guns that aren't the shotguns are just not worth using. Because it takes too long for you to aim. I'm being very indecisive right now while I talk about this. My apologies, but I just don't... I'm not really good at dealing with these kind of situations where zombies are beating on barricaded stuff that I can't, like, easily get behind. There's no way in without pulling boards off of something, and I don't really want to be in there with them, so I kind of just want to wait for them to do what they're doing. Well, I mean, I guess I'm hungry. Well, I'm not full, and I am losing weight again, so let's just start eating some chocolate and some marshmallows, I guess. Eat a half a bag of marshmallows while I wait. Yeah. Hell out of here, dude. Drink some... Oh, yeah, marshmallows make you thirsty and all, I think. Keep eating the marshmallows, because we're not completely full yet. If anything, I just want to keep eating until I get it to say, you know, you're gaining weight, because I'm kind of out of chocolate and stuff. God, this is really taking a long time. Honestly, the planks on windows are a lot more durable than I give them credit for, I feel like. Usually I don't bother with, like, boarding up, you know, barricading with boards, because I always thought that they were kind of crap, but honestly, I'm not giving them enough credit, I think. Typically, I'll just use metal sheets, which I mean, I still will continue to use metal sheets primarily, because they're really good and cheap and easy to use. Oh, come on. Forget this. But yeah, I should give the, I should give more credit where credit is due. This is a mess. Oh. Well, that's cool. You guys fucking broke out after I finished getting into place. I wish I was just a little more patient. Why are you at the window now, though? Come on, come out here. Get out here. What are you doing? Oh, now you come out. Zombies are being a little silly. come on. There we go. Okay, so... God, that's awful of you. That's fine, it worked out. And this guy goes back to the window again. What a prick. These zombies are being really awful. Oh, there's the house key. I didn't want to put it in there. I shouldn't be fussing around with this right now. I should be working on clearing this place, but... Alright. Hello there, miss. I was admiring you earlier from through the window. Alright. Kind of creepy, honestly, but she's a zombie. It's fine. She doesn't have rights. Okay. Alright. So this guy, if I'm not mistaken, is the last one in this house that is still alive anyway. Air quotes alive. Like me some boots. Let's put on the boots. Yeah, so what I was reading before, I always thought that the, you know, this run speed modifier matters, but I was reading earlier that I think maybe it kind of just doesn't. Maybe that it's not coded into the game correctly yet, the run speed modifier thing, so I'm just gonna wear boots, because, you know, defense. I don't want my toesies getting bit. Ooh. Speaking of defense, military helmet, hell yeah. So yeah, this is another one of those barricaded houses, so obviously it can have, you know, different kinds of loot that you wouldn't see in a standard house very frequently. Oh, I don't know if I have these books, so I'm gonna take them because they're tier 1s. Yeah, here we go. Here's the weapons. Very nice. Machete is very good. The wood axe is great for chopping trees down, which I do need to be doing soon. Now that I look at it, this episode's probably going to go a little bit long, but I hope that's acceptable. I mean, there's not much I can do about it. I don't really want to end, like... If there's one thing I can try, I'm going to try and do with this series, I'm always going to try and end on, like, the end of a day, one way or another. So, that might mean some episodes are a bit long, and others might end, you know, a bit short. Depends on what's going on. But yeah, this one might go a little bit long, because I still got a half a day to go here. There's a lot of stuff in this place. Very nice. A lot of food. PD binder. Unfortunately, not the thing we're looking for, but... So, it's cleared out. There's some good stuff here. Some boards I might use. Some planks, I mean. And, you know, destroyed doors are really nice because they, when a door is broken or taken apart, it can drop, like, hinges and doorknobs, which are essential for building new doors. So I will need those eventually, and I'll probably come and take them from around here. Typically what I'll do when it comes to needing those items is I'll just, like, you know, find places that I don't plan on staying at ever, and then I'll just take apart all their doors and all the stuff inside of them and stuff like that. And this area is pretty good for it, because I have no intention of staying in any of these houses ever, so. Engineer magazine, don't care. Trapping. There's a key for that car outside. It's kind of a little banged, but it doesn't look too bad. Yeah, I thought I heard something. I saw this guy over here before, but I didn't see him when I was, like, coming up to here, so I thought he, like, wandered off. Yeah, I thought I heard another one, yeah. Oh, man. This could be bad. Let's see what's going on in the back here. So that's, like, fully jammed, huh? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. This is bad. Don't do this. Do not follow my example, ladies and gentlemen. This is bad. God, the multi-hit failed, too. Okay. I think we're alright. Yeah, we're fine. Okay, don't let yourself get stuck in situations like that. I should have immediately went for this door to get out of here, because that's a guaranteed way out of the building. Doing what I just did there, going to this window that I already knew was locked because I was slightly panicking, bad. Do not do that. There's one thing I can do with this series is I can tell players how to not follow my example. Do as I say, not as I do, because the things that I do in this game are quite often really stupid. Anyway, let's finish checking this place out. Is there any? Yeah, there's a... I don't need more sleeping tablets right now. Oh, good lord. Alright, well, so there's more zombies coming, so I need to get the hell out of this house. And also, there's a bunch of firefighter zombies over here. Oh, you know, that's actually kind of interesting. I wonder if they spawned a bunch of firefighter zombies because this house is burned down. Like, maybe firefighters were responding to a fire when, like, the zombie outbreak sort of got to this part and, like, they got bitten and turned. That's some nice environmental storytelling if that's the case. I have to assume that's the case. I mean, it could be a coincidence, but that was a lot of firefighter zombies. Now, firefighter equipment. What was that? Just me? Rustling, I guess? Okay. Firefighter equipment is the best armor in the base game, if I'm not mistaken. Like, in general, it's like the best bite and scratch protection you can get. It's also very heavy and very hot, so... hence why I'm not gonna go... Well, I mean, there's a couple of reasons I'm not gonna go bother with that big horde of firefighter boys. One of them is just, I don't really want the firefighter gear yet. Later in the year, towards winter, it'll be useful, because I can wear it without, you know, dying of overheating myself. But for the time being, it's, you know, it's pretty early in the year. It's like spring, right? I believe is when we start. Normally. So I don't really want to mess with really heavy clothing yet. I mean, I'm already wearing like decently heavy clothes. I'm wearing like a jacket kind of thing. Wool long coat. Which is honestly low on insulation compared to like what I would expect, this wool long coat. But I mean, that's a good thing. I mean, it means that I can wear it during, you know, spring-ish, and it's not, I'm not getting too badly overheated. Like stuff like this guy's suit. I mean, it doesn't actually offer that good protection, but it's very insulating. All right, so we actually, these guys can drop these, like the tier 1 vaccines, as well as like some of the virology stuff and like the stuff used to make it. This mod is like technically overpowered when you think about it. I mean, having the ability to, you know, survive being infected with the zombie virus is kind of strong. But this vaccine is only a level 1 vaccine. So if you take it while healthy, like if I were to take it right now, I have a 20% resistance to getting the virus for 1 day. So if I were to get bit during this day after taking it, then I'd have a 20% chance to not be screwed. Okay. Which is nice, but it's, you know, obviously not perfect. I can still just not survive. Like, I can still get, like, the 80% chance to die. You know, to get the infection and die. Can't believe I couldn't see you until then. Doorway is being kind of funky. Can you die, please? Okay. Anyway. So yeah, it's a 20% chance, just a resistance, and it also resets the infection to 15% if you take it after being infected. So that's more likely what's gonna happen, what I'll use it for. It's used for delaying the virus. So the useful part about that is what you can do. Since this is only the tier 1, you can make, well, you can make the tier 1 if you have the correct skills and ingredients. But you can also make higher tier 1s to better reset it or to even like get rid of it. So that's going to be the real end goal. I mean, like, if there's anything that, you know, if there's any end goal that I can say that this playthrough can have, for right now, with everything being so nebulous and vague, oh boy, I'm way over encumbered. Alright, we're just gonna head back home for now. Gotta start losing health. Yeah, I see slight damage. It's not that big of a deal, but... make our way back, because I don't really want to drop anything. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so like if I can say there's any like end goal for this series, you know, I've said that there's like a medium term kind of goal of finding a an RV, because I really want to use one of those. I still haven't gotten the opportunity to, and I'd really like to. And an end goal could maybe just to cure the zombie virus, because I've never done that either. I've never made like the high tier vaccine cure sort of thing. I've never really gotten a lab up and running either. It's just, you know, typically if I get bit and I'm not running like super immune or whatever that perk is called that's really overpowered, then I just sort of die and then I make a new character. But yeah, that might be interesting to do, to get all the different things and go through the process of making the zombie cure vaccine thing. That could be fun. So I'll start collecting that stuff for the time being, and maybe we'll look at doing that in the future. Okay, I need to put stuff away now. Let's do that. All right, and I cut out a little bit there, but basically I just sorted everything away. Got Selina a bite to eat to try and balance her weight out a little bit. And I finished reading the Carpentry Volume 1 book and started on Metalworking Volume 1. But we're going to call things there for today. It's about 2350, almost 2400 here. Selina's gonna get a nice long night's sleep, and then we're going to wake up ready for more adventuring tomorrow. Overall, a couple of decently productive days. We got some decent stuff. We're making some more supplies. We sorted some stuff out, a lot more weaponry. We really need to find that generator book, though. I know I'm banging on about it, but it's very important in the early game, so I'm going to be maybe getting a little bit more, not desperate, but focused on getting that done, hitting more bookshelves, because I really need to find that magazine before the power goes out. Either way, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Going back to what I said at the beginning of the video, I appreciate all of the likes and the views and the comments. I don't know what to say. I very much so appreciate it, and I hope you continue to enjoy this series as much as I enjoy playing it. I should mention once again, and if you feel like supporting this channel, again, there's no pressure on it whatsoever, but there are links in the description to both Patreon and Ko-fi if you do feel like supporting. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next one.